Well, hello, I'm Dr. Julia Royston of BK Royston Publishing, Royal Media and Publishing, and the Book Business Bosses, where we help you get your message to the masses, turn your words into wealth. Well, this is the day that the Lord has made. We shall rejoice and be glad in it. So we are now into June. Woo! June is jumping. That means almost half of the year is almost over, not quite there, but it's almost over. So, kind of, what are you doing to prepare? What are you doing to uh, make way for the plans that God has for us? So, first off, the topic today is preparation for the plan. I was just eating a meal with my husband. I said, "Ooh, I'm going to ask God what He wants me to talk about," and He immediately said, "Preparation for the plan." I'm like, hmm. So the King James Version says, "For I know the thoughts that I have toward you, saith God." And that is Jeremiah 29:11. For I know the thoughts that I think toward you, said the Lord, thoughts of peace and not of evil, to give you an expected end. But the NIV version says, "For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord, plans to prosper you and not to harm you, plans to give you hope and a future." That's the NIV version. And so God gave Jeremiah that word, but he doesn't always tell you what the plans are. He doesn't always tell you all the specific details. God is great at telling you, just like he told Abraham, "I'm gonna make your name great. I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna, all that he's gonna do." But how are you gonna get there, and the steps that it's gonna take to get to the place where God has you, take some preparation, and of course, that's all God's planning. But when He gives you an end, and He said to give you future or an expected end, there are some things that you need to do. Now, I don't know about you, but I've been given words of prophecy, words of exhortation, words of to let me know that God was about to do a certain thing. Now, I'm different. When I get those kinds of words, I immediately make sure that it lines up with what, it should be an agreement. Number one, someone should be telling you something that's way far fetched. It should all be confirmational. That's what I was raised and told. That it should be a confirmational word. It should be aligned with your gifts, talents, and abilities. It shouldn't be so far fetched. Like, nobody should be walking up to me and telling me I'm going to the moon. Well, no, I'm going to heaven one day, but going to the moon, I really don't have a desire to do that. So if someone said that to me, I would say, okay, well, God's going to have to show me. I'll hold that word until he confirms it. But most of the time, 9 times out of 10, a true prophet, whether I know them or not, is usually on the road and on the right road, as they say, and gives me a word that I know that immediately connects with my spirit or with something that I've heard, read, or God has spoken it onto me. So I usually go into preparation mode first off in my head. So the number one for preparation for the plan is to take inventory. I start roaming through my mind, body, and spirit, taking inventory of everything that I have in my hands. What are some things um, that have been going well? Some thoughts that I've been thinking that's going great, and then some thoughts I've been thinking that okay. Because sometimes when you get a prophetic word such as that, it's usually between you're hot between two opinions. Sometimes it's not thus saith the Lord, just some person you meet, whether they're a stranger or someone you're just meeting, just click them. And I'm finding those divine appointments and divine assignments are happening to me a lot where I have questions and I'm prayerful, but I'm also knowing that sometimes God tells me those things specifically. And then sometimes he uses other people. So the scripture tells us, be careful entertaining strangers because some have entertained angels unaware. So sometimes he's delivering messages and we're just thinking, oh, they're just somebody, but they're really a messenger sent from God. God is working through not only just heavenly beings, but he's also working through earthly people every day. He's using them to encourage you, to bless you, to keep you going. But preparation for the plan, number one, I start taking inventory. This is what I need to get done. I can't handle anymore if I don't finish this. If I don't stop thinking about this, I need to rest more. I need to, my husband fusses about me drinking more water and eating more vitamins and nutrients and stop doing this and stop that. Well, I got to work on that. So it usually is starting to take an inventory, because if he's getting ready to bless me, or he's getting ready to open a door for me, or he's getting ready to provide a way for me, then I need to make sure that I have room for it, right? There's nothing worse than praying for a blessing. Oh, Lord, bless me. And then when it comes, or open the door for me, and when the door opens, you're not ready. And that it doesn't mean that, and I've often heard this and often said that this myself, it doesn't necessarily mean that that door will not come back around again, because, God is that long suffering, but you will be in a different place and it will be coming a different way, possibly. Because, I know when I was younger, I'm like, ooh, wonder why that didn't happen when I was younger, or when I was this, or when I was that. Because I wasn't ready for it. It was ready for me, but I wasn't ready for that. Or I was ready, but it wasn't ready. They both have to align. So taking inventory is always number one. And after you take inventory evaluation, something that I do on a daily, weekly, and monthly basis, I'm doing it constantly. Taking inventory, people that I'm very nervous of and very hesitant of, people who never sit down and take stock of where they are. They never sit down and review what's in their hands. They don't pray about, what do I have coming? What could come? What do I already, God's placed on my heart? What has he told me? What was the word that was given to me? What is he told me in prayer? I get real nervous. I run from you, because I know that you're in disobedience to God. You're not in alignment with where he wants to be. Well, I don't know whether I want to align me over there in that line, just in case something falls out of the sky or some catastrophe happens, because you're out of the will of God. So number one, taking inventory. Number two, what's wrong, make right. And what's right, make better. Number two, what's wrong, make right. And what's right, make better. So some systems that I have in order for my business are working well, but how can I improve them? How can I make them better? What are some things that we know that ain't working, that didn't work? I can't do that again. I can't go down that road. We got to fix that immediately. I had something happen at a recent event, and I realized I had to change that procedure right then. I didn't get home and sit down and write up. I had to stop that immediately on site. So there's some things that are wrong, that didn't work. You got to shut that down. Some things that are right and that are working, but if you were to add more or go to the next level, because you don't know where you're going specifically, he doesn't tell you. He tells you the end, but you don't know how you're going to get there. You're going to know if 10 more of these things come today, or 1,000 more come tomorrow. So you have to, whatever's right working, whatever system is right, making it better. How can I streamline that? How can I make it better? So number one, always take inventory. Y'all know I say that constantly. But I want to remind you to be sure what you got in your hand, what you got in your heart, what you have in your, what's going on in your eyes. What do you see? What do you hear? What do you know? What are you praying for? Take inventory. Just like I have to take inventory constantly when I travel. How much of this book do I have? How much of that book do I have? How much more inventory do I need to order? Because when I get on site and I run out, my husband looks at me a certain way. I'm looking at me a certain way. It's good to, oh, you want to sell out? Well, no, because there was more event. We could have sold more. So anyway, that's just our problem. So taking inventory. Number two, what's wrong, make right. What's right, make better. And then number three, make room. Jonathan McReynolds has a song, I'll find space for what I treasure. I'll take time for what I want. And then it goes on to say, I'll make room. I will make room for you. I will prepare for two. So sometimes you have to make room. You got to have to purge something. You have to stop doing something. You're going to have to start doing something else. So you may have to purge something Means stop, get rid of, remove, or acquire, add on. It's so that making room will either make space for it, adjustment, acquire, or purge. You have to make room for it. Are you going to make room for the things you need to make room for? If you're going to get an advanced degree, you have to make room for study. You have to make room for it. And, I had to do that with authors. They have been in my classes, my writing classes over and over for years, more than one. And they haven't finished the book. I said, well, you haven't, one, made the book a priority in your life. And then you haven't made room. Oh, I'm busy. Well, then you're not ready to do it. I haven't written 80 books because I kept doing some of the same things that I was doing and felt like I could write 80 books on top of that. No, I had to stop doing some things. For the last 2 years I was a teacher, I stopped eating in the faculty dining room. I didn't hate nobody. I just had a goal in my mind. I had somewhere I had to reach. Sometimes I have to get up early and 2 or 3, 4 o'clock in the morning. Sometimes I may have to stay up a little later, 9 or 10 o'clock. I know 9 is early for some people, but I'll usually try to be in bed at 8 o'clock, but that's just me. So I have to make adjustments. I have to acquire some new skills. I have to make room for new opportunities. Then I may have to learn some new things. Oh, I don't know how to do that. Well, that's not going to be good enough. If you really want to go where God's telling you to go, that means you might have to take a class. You might have to get a coach. You might have to get a mentor. You might have to even watch a free YouTube video. You may have to stop following some people and start following some new people on social media that are headed in the same direction you're going. Okay? So number 3, make room, purge, adjust, or acquire. And then finally, this is sometimes the most difficult one. And when I was talking about purging in Roanoke, Virginia, I was at a women's conference at New Harvest Family Worship Center, and they were talking about purging, and they were like, how do you purge people? And I said, sometimes you don't have to fall out with them or call like just cut them off or anything like that. Sometimes they just fall off on their own. Sometimes they just stop calling you, and you head in a different direction and you start doing new things. They just fall off automatically, because we're not moving in the same vein anymore. We're not in the same circle. When you change churches, it's not that you don't like the people. When you move, change cities, it's not that you just, I can't stand them. No, it has nothing to do with that. I live in a different circle. I live in a different city. I live in a different state. I live in a different time zone. So, some of my friends I don't talk to as much, or family I don't talk as much, because they're 3 hours behind me. I'm asleep. And when I'm up, they sleep. So, I have to be cognizant. So if you're going to be moving, preparing for the plan God has for your life, sometimes you have to prepare your circles. Prepare the circles. Your inner circle, your outer circle, your associate circle, your professional circle. That God has something. You don't have to necessarily tell them, you always have to be careful of all the details, but just basic things. I got some things coming down the pike. I'm not going to be able to have lunch with you every Saturday. I got some things I'm doing and shifting. I don't have all the details, but God is moving me in a different direction. Pray for me. And then, I may not be able to be, I've had to walk away from so many things and so many opportunities. And, it was difficult. It was definitely difficult, but I knew the call of God. So while other people are doing what they're doing, I'm listening to God. So when I'm praying, I hear him. So I just can't. So sometimes you got to prepare your circles. Even when I'm dealing with authors and their books, I say, okay, have you told your family you're ready to write a book? Okay. Have you told your family you're ready to release one? And if it is something of a very sensitive nature, did you tell your people? Did you tell your husband? Does your husband know? Is he okay? Does your wife know? Is she okay? Do your kids know? Your grown kids? Did your parents know? Because you got to prepare your circles. You may not have all the details. You might not give them all the details, but you need to prepare your circles for the plan God has for you. That's a part of the preparation of preparing not only yourself, because remember, you were first, like they tell you on the airplane. Put the mask on you. If the mask comes down out of the ceiling, put your mask on before you help other people. So you got to be first. Take inventory of your mind, your body, your spirit. Take inventory of your thoughts, your ways, how you live, how you eat, how you breathe, how you sleep. When, and even changing, I remember, Lord have mercy, back in, I don't know, early 2000s, I had to purge my clothes, my closets. God said, you got to get rid of. And he told me specific, it was 38 bags of clothes. And so he was preparing me for my next. But the clothes that I was getting rid of, they was all church clothes. That's me, work clothes, church clothes. But they represented a different life. And some of them I sure didn't want to get rid of. Oh, Lord, I was devastated. Because I knew not only how much I paid for them, but I liked them. I liked the way I looked at them. But they represented something that wasn't going to be able to move into my next arena. They weren't going to be able to go into my next. And of course, even some days I still kind of long for them clothes because I'm like, they don't even make stuff like that anymore. The suits and stuff we wore back in the day, they don't even have them. No. So it's those things that you really have to really think about. You have to be conscious of, but you got to prepare all your circles. You got to make room. You got to purge and acquire. You got to make what's wrong, make it right. You got to stop something that's not going right. People that, they can't go into your next. I love y'all, but, I got to go somewhere to go and you can't go. Or if you keep moving in that new direction and they're not supposed to be there, usually they'll fall off. And what's right, make better. Fine tune it. Because God has a plan for you. He has great plans to prosper you and not to harm you. Plans to give you hope and a future. Are you ready? It's time to get prepared. And with that being said, join me if you're ready, preparing for what's next. The BK Royston Publishing Virtual Summit. We're going to be talking about self-care. We're going to be talking about branding strategy. We're going to be talking about taking inventory, looking at inventory. What has God placed in our hands? And then also preparing for the purpose that he has for us next, as well as, all right, you already have something wonderful already that you're doing. How can you get somebody to sponsor that? What is the mindset? What is the direction you need to be going? And what do you need to be preparing for to be able to prepare for sponsorship? So join us. Visit bookbusinessbosstraining.com, June 10th, 2023, of course, this year and the next week. And it is from 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. So if you're in another time zone, be sure and mark that down. You will receive the replay. It is from 11 to 1 p.m. Get your pen, paper, get your notes handy. We'll be able to take questions. I have 3 phenomenal speakers that are going to be with me along with myself. Saturday, June 10th, 2023 at 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Register today. I look forward to us having a fantastic time and learning much and exchanging much. Speaking of learning much, coming up at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, Live Your Best Life, heard on envision-radio.com. You can always download the free app, as well as listen in on any mobile device on the internet at envision-radio.com, or download any of these apps, radio.net, radio.garden, Alexa, Roku, Media, My Tuner, Audacity, tuner.co, or wherever podcasts are heard. And then coming up at 11 a.m. is the Spike Davis and Friends show. Tune in for laughs, music, and more. And then on Tuesdays is the Book Business Boss show, Tuesdays at 10:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Where? Right there on envision-radio.com. The replays are at bookbusinessbosspodcast.com. All righty. So I hope to see many of you on June 10th at 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time to 1 p.m. I'll have much more coming up during that, after that same week. I'll be at Ivy Tech on the 12th, and then the 14th, I'll be at, where else am I going to be? 14th, I'll be 14th and 15th, I'll be in Birmingham, Alabama at the Black Chamber of Commerce. Their speaker, one of the speakers for the conference. And then Saturday, June 17th, I will be at 4th Street Live in Louisville for the Juneteenth Millionaire Marketplace. I'll be right there on 4th Street Live. So, woo, a lot coming up, a busy week coming up. Yay! And I look forward to seeing a lot of you. If you need to get on my calendar for us to have a conversation, go to talkwithroyston.com. That's talkwithroyston.com. Remember, my calendar is on the Eastern time zone. And schedule a time. Let's talk about books. Let's talk about business, or let's talk about interview. If you would like an interview on the Book Business Boss podcast, you can schedule that there too as well. All my other online stores and all other information is at juliaakroyston.com. That's my bio link with all my online stores, websites, giveaways, you name it, it's out there. juliaakroyston.com. I'm Dr. Julia Royston, praying today, tomorrow, always that you live your best life. Be blessed. Have a great day.